Good afternoon. My name is Bert Emerson. I am an assistant professor of English and the director of the George Whitworth Honors Program at Whitworth University in Spokane, Washington. I'm excited to be talking with you today about our a project that we have been working on in connection with the American Academy of Arts and Sciences that has was sponsored by the Commission on Democratic Citizenship. In this talk, I just want to share some of the history of what the work this commission has done, what we have done here at Whitworth in connection with it, some of the vision that we have developed here, and some ways that we hope to see this going ahead, and ways that we might be looking forward to partnering with you. I want to share my screen with a quick little PowerPoint presentation for you that hopefully will come through. So um, the our Common Purpose Report was developed by the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, published in June of 2020. The initiative was born out of this Commission on the Practice of Democratic Citizenship, which was organized by the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, bringing together 50 commissioners from across the country and all different sort of sectors of society who are invested in civic engagement, from academics to business leaders to philanthropists to nonprofits to media types, just a wealth of wonderful resources. And they came together and they basically wanted to think, and this was about 2016 and 2017, and they were thinking there has been this rekindling of political energy in our country, but it's in many ways they saw it as being less than constructive, and so there was a question about how we could take this renewed political energy of the last couple of decades and trying to sort of steer it into more constructive and generative ways. This was a bipartisan group made up of people across the political spectrum who came together thinking, how do we sort of steer all of this energy into these current questions about democratic citizenship? And so this commission set about doing this work, thinking about all different types of things, about the ways that social media has changed the ways that we participate civically, the way that polarization or growing numbers of population or any number of factors have affected the ways that citizenship has evolved over the last 2+ centuries. In the process of doing this work, they started to ask people to gather groups together to hold listening sessions. And we were contacted by some representatives from the Academy to see if we would be interested. We were able to host one of these listening sessions in the spring of 2019 here at Whitworth University, inviting students and faculty and people on campus, as well as members from the rest of the community, to come together and to address some of the questions that these commissioners had. We had a wonderful night of conversation that was enlightening, uh, invigorating. It was exciting to get together and share this information. The commission ended up soliciting almost 50 listening sessions from across the country. And when they spent that much time listening to what people from all across the country were thinking, they were able to gather up most of this information along with their various levels of expertise into this report that was published in June of this past year of 2020. What the group came to, what conclusions they drew was that we had achieved this moment of what they were calling a fourth founding. If the first, or calling for a fourth founding, if the first moments happened in the late 18th century, and then after Civil War, and then a third around the Civil Rights moment, that they were saying that we were kind of at a moment where our democratic institutions, as well as our culture, were in need of some reinvigorating. And so this report came out, and it had 6 broad strategies that they feel were all interconnected. The first 3 that really deal with elements of our political institutions, from the size of the House of Representatives to the makeup of our Supreme Court, to the number of to the ways that people voted and the ways that governmental agencies and institutions responded to the voters. Some of these involved big time things like constitutional amendments and other very large scale type of work. But this was something that was seen as being important for making sure that our institutions were working according to the will of the people. Strategies 4, 5, and 6 brought it more close to home for someone like me working in an academic institution, thinking about how we create more civic bridging capacity, um, how we build a stronger civic information architecture, and how we can inspire this culture where we take on both the rights as well as the responsibilities of democratic citizenship. The report gives a lot of rationale for these recommendations. Some of them may seem far-fetched, some of them may sound very simple, but what we have found is in our initial conversations, as we have started to talk here on campus, as well as start to engage with some community partners, is that there is a lot here that for people who are civically minded to think about how we can address some of the issues that have been perplexing us, especially in the last couple of decades. Some of the things that we have been doing here have involved developing on campus as well as out in our community, some areas of story circles. This is a way where we come together and talk about our expectations, talk about our experiences. This is a format that is really ideal for creating equity within a room to ensure that everybody has time and can say what they have on their minds, and the key in story circles, as much as it is sharing stories, perhaps even more important, is listening to the stories of others. We also use principles of intergroup dialogue to ensure that everyone's voice is heard, and that these conversations end up being constructive and generative. And what we have found in our initial work in this area has been that people are interested in this and are hungry for changes. And we think that this is a wonderful report that available online for free as a PDF, easily accessible in language that is perhaps maybe has a few things to learn, but defines its terms very clearly, and is definitely a thing that we hope to bring more and more into our community as we learn and grow together. So that is what I had to share. Uh, we are excited about what's happening with it, and we are eager to take the next steps. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to further conversations about it down the road.